Hello basketball coaches, today I'm going to give you some press defenses that you can use at the elementary school level. So this would be basically the grades 6, 7, and 8 and below. But basically, in your league, if you're only allowed to play man-to-man defense, 100%. If you're allowed to press, 100% do it. I am a type of coach who likes to press at the beginning of the game. The reasons for that is because it's going to allow you to be able to get quicker turnovers from the other team so that you can run up the score quickly so that now you can have an easier overall game. Now, going from there are some leagues that do not allow zone defenses. Obviously, this video is not for those leagues. These are all zone defenses that I have found work really well at the younger age groups because they are super simple to run. Let's get down to the clipboard and let's check these out.
So the first defense is the 1-3-1. Even though this is a full court press, it works more like a half court press. Now, how I like to explain to my players is player 1 is the one who is going to be directing the ball handler to one sideline or the other. If you don't already know in a press defense, this is the area that you're trying to trap the ball handler in. The reason for that is, let's say we have a trap here right now on player 3. We have 2 players on him, so obviously he can't run out of bounds. He can't run back over half or else it's an over and back call. So in this situation, we have trapped player 3 because he can't go anywhere. He can't move in that direction, obviously can't move out of bounds, and can't go back, which means that he is trapped. However, in this situation, we have 3 players in the middle. This is a 1-3-1, and what we're having here is player 1. So let's say player 1 red gets that ball. Player 1 blue is going to be on him. Let's say he passes over to player 2. We're going to have player 1 follow his pass. The whole rule that I have for these 3 players here is that they are not allowed to run past half court unless we get player 1 stealing the ball. On the defensive side, they're not allowed to pass half because that opens us up for a lot of different passes and openings on the court for the other team. We don't want that. So what we're going to be having here is, let's say we have player 1 successfully directing player 2 towards that sideline. We have player 1 moving up, player 4 moving up, and let's say we have player 5 moving down towards this corner because he might want a lob pass. We now want player 5 blue to move over, and these players are staying home except for player 2. He's moving back just a bit. Now, we don't want him to move below that 3-point line. The idea behind that is if he gets too low, they can just swing the ball really quickly, get past half, and set up their offense. And we don't want that. So now we're going to be having player 1 still directing player 2 towards the sideline. Now, at this time, we don't want player 3 to collapse on him right before that half court line, because now he's not trapped and he's on the good side of the half court line, which means that he can still reverse his dribble and pass the ball back around. So we want player 3 to be either in line with player 1 to direct player 2 towards that sideline, or to take a step back so that he's already set up for that trap. Now, the danger part behind this is if player 2 is a very agile player, he could take one quick dribble forward and then sideways through those 2 players, and now he has beaten that trap, even though he was in prime location to be in that trap. We don't want that. So personally, I'd like to teach my players to be in line with each other like this, so that they are directing player 2 towards that sideline. Obviously, once he gets there, we're going to be having player 4 guarding this zone, player 5 is going to be guarding this zone, and player 2 is going to be dropping down at this point and guarding the middle. Their idea down in these 3 players is now for player 4 to cut off any passes towards or between the 3-point line and the half court line. Player 2 is the one who is not just defending this bubble, but he's also defending this whole side of the court as well. So obviously players are going to try and do short passes towards the middle, but he needs to keep his head up to see if player 2 is looking way over here, and he has to know and have his head on a swivel to understand, hey, we have possibly two players way over here along this sideline, if he tries to do that big lob pass, which as an offensive player, you never want to do because obviously player 2 is going to be able to hopefully cut that off. So from there, he is trapped, and if these three players are quick enough and are able to guard their zones perfectly, we have now created a turnover because obviously he's only allowed to hold the ball and so for so long in his location. Now, these two players, I don't want those two players to be reaching in trying to steal the ball. The reason for this is because if they start reaching in, for one, their hands are no longer up, which means that now there's an open passing area over their head. Especially if the player has the ball up here already, that just means that they have now opened up a window for that player to pass out of. With their hands down here trying to swipe the ball away, that's what's going to happen. So, what I like to teach my players is to have at least one hand up at all times, and if that player is trying to pass the ball through here, have that hand drop and move this hand over. That way we are still having one hand up no matter where that ball is, because at least then we're there trying to disrupt the pass, and we're not reaching in to get a foul and to help out the other team. I hate it when players reach in and get a foul when they've trapped a player. That is the worst thing ever. Now, this second press and final press that I like to run with younger players is the 1-2-2. Now, the 1-2-2, how I like to have it set up is for these two players to be maybe 2-ish to 3 feet past the half-court line. So somewhere in between the half-court and that 3-point line. Next, we're going to be having players 4 and 5. They're going to be standing at the length of the key away from each other, or the width of the key away from each other, but at the 3-point lines. So these players are here for the long pass to cut off passes. And then we also have player 1 up front, and he is the one who's going to be directing the ball handler towards the sideline. So let's say player 1, red, gets the ball. Player 1 is going to be then guarding him. Next, let's say he passes the ball over to player 4. Player 1 is then going to be picking up that ball handler. What we're going to be having now is, for these two players, I do not want them to go past the point, past the highest point of the 3-point line. They're there to cut off passes, so they're allowed to go past that line, but if that pass is in the air, that's the only time. Now, if they're a quick player, go for it. If they're not a very quick player, I would say don't risk it to that player. Going from there, what we would want is player 1 to direct player 4 over. If player 4 passes successfully over to player 2, what we want to see happen is, obviously player 5 is going to be cutting down low. Maybe there might be a player a bit higher, cutting across the court, whatever it may be. And let's say player 2 is now running or trying to dribble up the sideline, or if he tries to dribble towards the middle, player 2 is there to cut him off to direct him back towards that sideline. We want player 1 to be now coming up and defending player 2 as well, so it is essentially a double team. We're going to be moving player 3 now towards half court, but he will not be going past that center line unless it is to pick off a pass. And then what player 1 is there for is for player to stop player 2 from spinning off of player 2 blue and going down the middle. So he is there cutting off, player 2 is directing towards this corner, and then eventually they will hopefully merge into that corner and trap him there. Now, when that happens, again, very similar to the last play, we're going to be having players 3, 5, and 4 cutting off any of the mid-range passes, and player 5 looking for the long passes over to this side of the court. Now, I hope that these press defenses help your team win more games. If they do, let us know in the comment section below. I would love to answer them. If you have any ideas for videos as well, definitely go comment down there and let me know. And if you want some custom basketball practice plans, there's a link down there for you as well. And I'll see you guys again later on today for the second video of the day.